today's session, we want to talk about the top 7 patterns, mistakes, you want to call it, or things that keep our manifestation away, especially that keep money away from us. So, after working with like hundreds and hundreds of people in different programs in Wealth Fountain, Wealth with Purpose, Bottomless, and all like other programs, what I've realized is that we have certain habits which are quite common to most of us. And when we do that, we actually keep money away from us. Like we are repelling money. We are repelling manifestations. We are repelling how fast the money can come. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reveal them one by one. And as you see if you see yourself in it, it's a great time to start releasing it because this literally is repelling money. So the first thing what we want to understand is that money or whatever you desire is already here. Okay? So it already exists in your energetic field right now. Our eyes can only see 1% of what is there. So we cannot rely on our eyes or our physical world to tell us what is there. Therefore, all we need to do is we need to match the frequency. We need to align ourselves to that amount of money and not rely on what we can see in our physical. So there are people out there who are really, really intentional with money. Like when we understand that they have got power, absolute power over money. So when we tend to release this fear around money, like, oh my God, money's going to run out. What will happen if I don't have enough? And we realize that we have absolute power over money goes. And sometimes when we start to have the contrast in our lives, like we really have events where we're like, oh my God, I'm going to do things. They actually happen to help us release that fear around money. Because what happens with most of us is that there is enough, there is more than enough, but we tend to raise the bar of enough as we get more and more. So I found this pattern in me, which was really interesting. What I found that as I started to manifest more and more money, my energetic threshold of enough kept going up. Like if I had less than 100,000 in my bank account, I would think it's not enough. And then if I had less than that amount, I would think it's not. So what I realized was that I kept increasing what was enough for me. However, enough is when you have home, when you have food to eat, when you have clothes to wear, that is enough. Everything else is more than enough, right? But what we tend to do is we tend to increase the amount of enough, and we are like, if we don't have this amount, it's lack. And we immediately go to lack. So this is one of the things you want to understand, that there is enough right now. So stop becoming so attached to the increasing frequencies and realizing that I have enough, I'll always have enough, and there is no lack whatsoever. And all I'm doing is I'm ascending to the next level. And that's where comes the detachment, that it's no more about the survival or just having enough. It's about playing to win. It's about enjoying the game. It's about playing the game, right? So then we start to practice the art of detachment. It's like the money is not on pedestal anymore. It's not the thing that is causing us to worry or lose our power. It's more like, I'm going to have fun and I'm going to intentionally create money. That means I'm going to command it where to go, and I'm not going to be tied to when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, controlling it the way it's going to happen. But in fact, I'm going to command it by becoming a match, which I'm going to share in the next steps. And I'm going to let it flow there without worrying, without putting it on pedestal. So this is the big thing. Realizing you have enough, you have always had enough, and we are creating way more than that. So it's not about enough anymore. The other thing what I realized was that I ask in my programs for you guys to create a goal card. And in the goal card, we have this thing called date, right? Sometimes when people write date, all they start wondering is it going to happen by this date or not? Is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? So now we are tying manifestation to when it's going to happen. But when you're asking me when it's going to happen, I'm saying it's already here. What do you mean when it's going to happen? So sometimes attaching it to time and saying, is it going to happen by this date or not? You're just telling your mind that it's not here. You're just coming off the frequency. So a lot of times I even recommend my clients don't write the date yet until you are comfortable with the frequency, until it feels normal, until it doesn't feel like big deal, until you have started to practice detachment. Don't write date on the goal card. Just write your goal. And the reason is because when we start tying this thing of time, now we are saying, if it doesn't happen by this date, there is something wrong with my manifestation. But you have set the time. But this is the only seed, this is the only spiritual seed which you don't know when it's going to harvest. So with apple, you know when it's going to harvest. If you plant the seed of apple, there's a specific time. If you plant a pineapple, it takes 1.5 years for one pineapple to come, right? So with your goal, you don't know when it's going to happen. We are just estimating. But when we start to put this new thing about time, is it going to happen by this time? What should I do to make sure it happens by this time? We are not on that frequency. So let's not tie time to the idea. Let's focus on the energy. And I want to teach a concept which has taken me really few months to really grasp. So I would love for you to contemplate on it, to think about it, and see how you're grasping it, because this is really powerful. So humans are the only species in this entire universe who measure things by time. This many seconds, this many minutes, this is a year. We are the only species in the entire universe. Nobody else manages it. If you ask your pet, what time is it right now? They don't know. Or they might think, what are you asking them? So the only species on the planet who tie things to time is us. Now, what if we look at the progression of the world? It's not progressing with time. It's progressing with energy. The only thing here is energy. There is no such thing as time. Time is an illusion. If you go in Mars, it's a completely different time. If you go on a different planet, it's a completely different time. So you go from one, let's say you're sitting, you're doing something, and then you meet somebody, and then you have some other experience. Now, this is not progressing from time. This is progressing from what energy you're focusing on. So what you're creating right now, you will experience in the physical shortly. I wouldn't even say it's after some time, because then I'm bringing time, right? So what is happening is the things you focus on, that's how your life progresses. And in order to try to measure that, we measure it with time. And it took me a lot of thinking to really understand this. It's like if you manifest certain amount of money, or let's say you have an argument with somebody, or somebody hurt you, and then something happened, and you went out and you experienced something, then you might experience something related to your health or something great, or all these things are not progressing with time. They are progressing with what are you thinking. So anything, the cycle of energy is, it starts with the gas, the ether. And if you keep thinking about it, if you keep focusing on it, if you keep believing it, it solidifies. It's like you're freezing the ice. It solidifies. It is a solid now. From a thought, it's a solid. So when you're actually thinking about, people don't treat me well, or this person does this to me, you were just creating that, and then it's shown to you. So there was no such thing as time. So if you're asking me, how can I manifest faster? The key is, how can you focus on it more? How can you focus on it more? Now, there is a very fine line between focus and detachment. And it can be very confusing. Focusing means that you can focus on that idea, that feeling, that thought, without getting distracted on other things. So the other day I was sitting on the train. I was going in central London. So I was in the train, and there was a lady sitting ahead of me. And I think it was like 5 minutes time span. And again, I'm talking about time. She checked her WhatsApp, she checked her Facebook, she checked another app, she checked fifth app, and she checked something else. And then she opened Google, and I was thinking, this is how it happens, right? This is how overstimulated and distracted we are. Like we check this and then we want to quickly check on YouTube and want to find that information and we want to look at this picture and somebody sent us something. When we are this overstimulated all the time, how can we focus on one idea? Because our mind craves more stimulation, more dopamine hits. So when you're thinking about your vision, your mind is saying, oh, I want to think about that. What about this person? And that person happens this and this and then before you know it, you're such a long train of thoughts and you're like, oh, I was thinking about my vision. Oh, and now I'm thinking about God knows what. Okay. So one thing that I really started to do, and I think I've recommended before as well, could light a candle in front of you and keep looking at it and keep thinking about it. That's how you build your focus. Like, let your mind stay focused on one thing. Keep looking at it. So I do this every day. And when I started doing it first time, I literally felt like somebody has put me in a prison. Like my mind keep going around like circles, like, what about this? But what about this? But you want to check that? And I was like, no, no, no. I'm looking at the candle. Remember, we're looking at the candle. We're not looking at anything. And then I had to tell my mind, like, we will do this later. I promise we'll do that. We'll do that as well. Let's focus on the candle. So when you learn to have sustained focus, you can focus on your desire longer. If sometimes you're experiencing in your physical reality that things are going in a bit haphazard way, that's a reflection of what's going in your mind. Because literally you're creating that in your mind before it happens in the physical. Everything. There is no such thing as time progression. That's an illusion. Okay. So someone asked Neville Goddard that what is the biggest problem in humanity when it comes to manifesting what they want? And Neville Goddard said, lack of focus and poverty of imagination. And to this day, I 100% agree and see and notice and experience even in myself. Like when I shifted that, everything happened so much faster. Because the way we want to look at it is that everything is already here. It's already here. All you're doing is you're taking on that frequency, you're staying with it, you're focusing on it, and you're turning it into physical. So you're just manipulating the thing which is already there. So what we want is we want a lot of focus and we want imagination. We want to let our mind go and wonder and experience and do all those things. So this is really, really important. Having the focus and letting our mind picture. So this brings us to the third thing, which is about sometimes you try to think hard. Let me think how it's going to happen. Let me just try to find a way. When you're doing that, you are being reactive. So you look at this scenario and you're like, it's not happening yet. It's so slow. And you're being reactive and you're thinking hard. You're putting pressure on your mind, but you're not on that frequency. But your conscious mind doesn't know the answer. So I tend to give this example that if I drop my phone right now, there's my phone. If I drop it right now, and I ask you, what angle do I need to bend my arms? How do I need to bend my back? How do I need to bend my bones? Like, how can I pick my phone? You won't be able to give me, okay, use this degrees, try that. Or let's think of like if there's a person who's trying to catch the ball, can they calculate the velocity of the ball and how they need to move and how the air pressure is? None of that. Who is doing everything? Their subconscious. Who is doing all the calculation when I'm picking my phone? My subconscious. Conscious doesn't know anything. All it does is set the direction, take decision, set the direction, take decision. So when you are being reactive and asking yourself, what do I need to do? Let me really think. You are in your head. The answer is not there. What we want to do is, and I have experimented this a lot of times, for the sake of experimentation as well, that when you're focusing on this, you start to go in the lack, and all of a sudden you're seeing all the ways it's not here. And all the ideas are like, look, this is not working, that is not working. And the moment you shift your energy and you start to go in that, I have this, I have done this. You start to shift your energy, literally the ideas, it's like you just become open and the ideas start coming to you straight away. So I've experimented this. This works like within seconds. You start to get this idea. Why don't you do that? Why don't you try that? So any time that you have free time, what I would highly recommend is keep playing with the scenarios of that thing happened. Keep playing with the scenarios. You calling somebody, telling them, somebody telling you, you can do this now, you can book your holiday, you are searching for that. Keep playing with the scenario. Keep doing the things that bring you towards the feeling, because it happens by itself. When you do that, you're actually reprogramming your subconscious to take you there naturally. You will literally get easy ideas, like intuitive hits, like, why don't you try that? Why don't you do that? So this is really, really important, that never ever put force on your mind, like, how can you do that? I know a lot of times we do that. Like we stuck in that moment. We're like, let me figure out, let me put pressure on myself. Doesn't work. Force negates. So this is a really important pattern, that always keep going in that scenario. Whenever you find a free time, you're sitting, just keep creating scenarios. Keep creating scenarios. Like Wallace D. Wallace in Science of Getting Rich, he says, whenever you have free time, keep playing with that image. Keep playing with that. Keep living it, making it really, really clear in your mind. Okay? Because also what happens is when you're in your head, let's say you saw something which was a bit of a contrast and you're like, look, it's not happening. And now you're acting from a reactive stage, which is like a dopamine hit, which is like, oh my God, what do I need to do? What do I do? And that is a lower frequency. And that is a reactive approach, a dopamine hit, worry, anxiety. And that's not gonna. And when you start to have this feeling, what I really do is I start to really look into enoughness. Because if this moment of your life is not making you happy and enjoy, more money won't do that either. So the question is, why are you not feeling happy? Because let me disappoint you here, but if you're giving money the responsibility to make you happy, it won't. And this is the biggest disappointment I had when I manifested my second money frequency. I was like, I thought I'll be happier. I thought all of a sudden life will be perfect. It wasn't. It was the same. Just had more money to solve the problems, to just have a bit one less worry. So if you're not feeling happy, what is it? How can you start to really find the enoughness in the now? Because more money cannot do that. We put money on pedestal and give it a lot of responsibility, and it cannot do any of that. Okay? So the other thing which is really, really important is the tangling. We tangle manifesting money with when I have perfect relationship with everybody, when my partner is happy with me, when my kids are doing well, when everything in the world is great, when my life is great, when I'm feeling perfectly fine, that's when I can manifest money. But the key with manifesting money is money doesn't care about any of that. Like with one of my one-to-one clients, he had to really understand, like at his work, he used to sometimes get really angry with people and frustrated. And every time he did that, he tied that to receiving money. And he said, look, I lost my temper. Now I won't have money. I was like, no. People with a lot of money can be very, very angry. So what I'm not trying to say that you can be angry and you have the right to do whatever to anybody else, but what I'm saying is it has nothing to do with money. How happy you are. If your life is upside down right now, doesn't matter. You can still have money. You are still worthy to receive. If you are still figuring things out and there's a big problem or something happened, you can still manifest money. The first thing I see people do is tying money to everything being perfect in their life. And life is not perfect. So I will only manifest when I have this. I will only manifest when I'm not struggling with this. I will only manifest when I'm feeling good. No, you're navigating some things in your life. Keep navigating, and you are still worthy to receive. You are born worthy, and nothing has changed. So why are we tangling that? Anything that is happening in your life or that may happen has nothing to do with your receiving. Let's get that really straight. You can be very sad, you can be very upset, and still manifest a lot of money. Okay? So the other thing which is really interesting and which is really, really powerful is the identity. Who are you being? Who are you being at that time? So I want to share with you an example. Yesterday, I went to a business summit in London, right next to London. I was really, really beautiful. And we were having lunch there. And then there was this guy who came to us, who approached us while we were having lunch. And he asked us, like, what do you do? And we told him it was me and my business partner sitting there. And then we asked him, what do you do? And when he was telling us, we could see that he was going on 1 feet and the next feet, and the 1 feet and the next feet. And we could pick up his anxiety. We could pick up that he's not fully believing in himself. We could pick his energy up. So now he said, I help coaches in reinvest their money into stocks, into other things. But we could see, like we could pick it up. Like he might have learned a lot of things. He might have known all the templates. And I'm sure he's genius at what he does. But I knew that he didn't see that in him. So the moment he was coming to talk to us, our intuition could pick his energy, his vibe straight away. So people are reading at your prospects, your potential clients, your friends, anybody. If you have a business, if you're working for somebody, if you want to have a job, anybody, the first thing they pick in nanosecond is your energy. There is a thyroidian field around you right now, and that field is made of electromagnetic waves, which you are constantly emitting. So the stronger your identity is, the faster you're vibrating. Doesn't mean you're being happy. No. You can have the greatest identity and be so pissed off at somebody. Doesn't matter. What it means is that the more you believe in yourself, the more you're really confident, the more you can really, who you are. You have that conviction. That makes your thyroidian feel, literally there's a circle around you right now, there's a bubble that makes it stronger. And when you meet somebody, before you say a single word, they pick it up. I want you to do this experiment. I do it a lot. Check 10 people on Facebook, any random 10 people. Open their profile and see. You will know their money frequency. You will know the brackets. You will know it. Why? Have you spoken to them? No. Do you know anything about them? Probably not. Maybe a little bit. Maybe you've just seen their post here and there. You read somebody's post, you will know their money frequency. You see somebody's video, you'll know their money frequency. Why? Because our body, our energetics is screaming out loud. So you can take the best templates, the best practice, the best everything. But when it comes to that, people are picking it up with their intuition. And the interesting part is they don't even know they're picking it up, but they have a feeling about you. They have a feeling. I have a feeling this person is really good. I want to work with them. I have a feeling this course will be really good because of this person and the way they talk. I feel like they really know. Like a lot of times people say to me that I know you're walking the talk. And I'm like, how do you know I'm walking the talk? Have you seen me walk the talk? Like, do you come in my house and see what I do? No, but my energy is reflecting that. So the moment I started walking the talk, I started manifesting clients because they picked it up. So money is literally the direct reflection of your identity, how much you trust in yourself. Do you trust yourself with money? Do you trust yourself with receiving a lot of money? Like, what if I give you 3x your money frequency right now? What would happen? Like, really ask yourself this question other than, oh, I'll be so happy. Yeah, but really, how would it change your life? How would it affect you? Do you really trust yourself with that? Do you trust that you're worthy of that? Do you trust that you should get paid a lot of money? Or you would start feeling, oh, what is wrong with people? Why are people paying me so much money? What is going on? Because if you're not a match, even if somebody comes and say, you know what, I want to do this with you and I want to pay you, you would not take it. You would be scared. You would think, oh, what if I disappoint them? What if it doesn't work? What if or literally it could be that your body might start showing the signs that this person is not a match. So the ideas that you get in your life are the match of what frequency you're operating at, what money frequency you're operating at. So connecting this identity to the piece of money frequency, which is my next point, money frequency. If I ask you this week, what money frequency did you operate at? So if I take a machine and plug it in your body and it tells me the numbers in terms of money, what money frequency did you operate at? You're literally operating at a frequency and I can detect it. I can plug a machine into your body and I can check how much it is. So normalizing and manifesting your money frequency is about constantly reminding yourself, I'm earning that much money. Constantly bringing the image of that life, normalizing that. The moment that doesn't seem to be a lot of money, and that's like, yeah, that's normal. Yeah, that's how much I know. That's not, you manifest it. So, what is your look when you're sitting, when you are doing something, when you are thinking about something, you have a frequency of money right at that point, which I can detect through a machine. And you know that as well, what it is. So at that point, when you're walking, when you're sitting, when you're talking, when you're doing your life, when you're getting on with your day, are you operating on your desired money frequency? That means, are you feeling it? That means, are you normalizing it? That means, are you minding yourself? That means, are you envisioning it in your bank account? So the way I do it is I constantly remind myself throughout the day. And just reminding yourself of that number, oh, I've manifested this number, is not enough because that number doesn't mean anything whatsoever. What we want to start doing is we want to start seeing our life that way. If you do something with that amount of money, start seeing yourself, practicing yourself, mentally rehearsing yourself. And if one of the tools I really want to share with you, which is really powerful, if you have started manifesting some money and you see like, yeah, it might add up to my money frequency, start writing it down on, I used to write an Excel file and I would just write it and keep adding the numbers. And as you add the numbers, you get that energy hype. You're like, yes, look, it's adding up. It's adding up. And the more you do that, the more money comes. So even if you want to write on a paper and keep adding it up and say, look, it's adding up. It's adding to that. It's like, when somebody's running a race and you're cheering for them, like, yes, keep going, keep going, keep going. That's what happens when you write it down and you see it and you cheer for it and you're like, yes, keep coming, keep coming. So this is a really powerful thing to actually start to see that money coming in and feeling that and become a match for more. So what I want to know is, and what I would love for you to practice this week is, at given points in time, let's say you're going for a walk. Can you set an intention? I'm going to walk as that person who is manifesting this amount of money, whatever your money frequency is. I'm doing this, or I'm going to meet these people. I'm going to meet as that person. I'm going to maintain that frequency. And not just in terms of the number, but how does my life look like? How does I feel about money? How does I feel about receiving that money? How does I see? And when I talked about the identity, how do I see myself in terms of as a person, as I'm showing up, my beliefs about money, my capability, my trust in myself? This is really, really powerful because look, money, manifesting a lot of money is normal for all of us. Has always been normal. The only problem is we were told a bunch of lies. We were told the idea of lack, which is a complete lie. Okay, so next, in fact, I will create a post in the group where you have to update us on your money frequency. What money frequency are you actually operating at? Because whatever you operate is, that's what people are going to feel. That's how the opportunities are going to come to you. That's how the doors are going to open for you. It doesn't matter what's in your physical. Who cares? That's not even a thing. Because when you are creating that memory, so when you are creating those thoughts, right, those images, they are literally a future memory. And there is no such thing as time. So they're literally as memory. You're just accessing a memory. You're just accessing a memory of something that is already here. You're just plugging into it and you're accessing it. And starting to see yourself differently. Starting to see the other thing, what we all often do, and I was a mega player in doing that, discounting our capabilities, discounting how great we are, discounting what we're really good at. Like, what if we have this identity that I'm a match for money? So wherever I go, whatever I do, even when I breathe, I receive money because I create such huge value and I receive money out of everywhere. But it's just my natural, habitual thing. Like, I just I'm just a match. I cannot help but create money. I cannot help but attract it. What if it becomes a part of who you are? Like you can't even help it. What if that's kind of person you are? You say a one word that change everything. Okay. So really starting to operate on that money frequency as your habitual thing. Keep practicing, keep practicing. How would your life look like when you have that money? What would be your morning routine like? Like literally the simplest thing I started to do was I was like, I'll probably have more time in the morning and I'll use a moisturizer. So let me just use that moisturizer and practice that. Because if you really think about it, there wouldn't be like crazy differences. You will still be doing a lot of things you're doing right now. So you can just start adding and plugging in a little bit things and associate them with having that money and giving yourself that identity. If that means that you would be doing things differently, let's say you will go and have a meeting with somebody, and right now your current self is like, I can't meet this person. That person is so scary. I would just start practicing meeting that person in the mind. So I'm going to give you an example here. In the business that we are doing now, while with corporates, we had to meet a lot of like CEOs and directors and from really, really big companies. So what I did was I started to mentally rehearse meeting them, talking to them. And the more I did that, when I actually met them for the first time, they literally felt like I've been doing this for decades. Like not even once it felt like it's my first meeting. That kind, like, for for that offer and project. Never felt like that. Not even to me, let alone them. And this is the thing that my client did as well. He, in the beginning, when he was talking about those 50 to 100 million projects, he was like, yes, I need to be prepared to meet those CEOs. I need to do this. I need to find a way. And then when he mentally rehearsing that, he rehearsing meeting those people, negotiating the deals with them, he found someone who knew all the contacts of those people, like most of the companies. And that person got him in touch with them. So he didn't even have to like find them or network with them. He just found all the contacts. So when you are a match, the opportunity will chase you down. It doesn't matter how, because it will. That's not your problem. And we are not smart enough to figure out the how. We are very, very smart, but we like Bob Proctor used to say, you're not that smart enough to figure out the how. So don't. Okay? Like nobody has the knowing to connect the dots. But what we know is that we have the power to get the dots connected. So we don't have to connect them ourselves. So when you become a match for that opportunity, it will chase you down. And it's quite fair that it won't chase you down until you become a match, because even if it chases you down, you won't avail it. So he was saying to me the same thing. He said, if I wasn't a match and I didn't practice that in my imagination, when I would have talked to those people, I would be shivering. I would be feeling like I'm gonna pass out. And he said the old me would actually do that. The old me would be so nervous. But now it feels like, oh, I've been doing this forever. That's the quantum. Because you have been doing this forever, just in a different dimension. So it's not new. You think it's new. Okay? So the other thing which is really, really important to look at is competing beliefs. And this is really important. Sometimes when we really want something, we really desire something, there are some beliefs which are contradictory. So subconsciously, we don't want it. And I'll share with you a very personal example again. When I started manifesting my money frequencies, I was like, whoa, this is so good. Like, it's like, I didn't know it. This is so easy. This is so good. But after a certain threshold, I started to feel a bit of resistance. And I was like, what is going on? Why do I keep coming back to the same pattern? And then what I realized, that back in my mind, there was a bit of a limiting belief that if I start outperforming how much my husband is earning, maybe our relationship will not be the same anymore. Maybe I won't look up to him. Maybe I'll become arrogant. Maybe he won't think, like maybe I won't be receiving and like the way we have right now, like he's the lead. And I had to really get this in my head, get this right in my head. Like I had to really, it's not just about you can say, oh, it's my limiting belief. You have to logically address the belief because your subconscious mind is actually keeping you safe. So you have to logically address the belief. How are you going to logically address the belief? So I said to myself in my mind that when I have that, how would a relationship look like? So I really contemplated on that. And what I realized was that earning money doesn't mean you are the most wise person. In fact, a lot of stupid people are earning a lot of money. So if you have this belief that you have to be super wise and intelligent and you know all and be all, no. A lot of people who have no idea of other things are earning a lot of money. So it wouldn't make me any better. It would just be that I'm good at this because I love it, because that's my calling. So I accepted my calling in the family as the person who attracts a lot of money because I'm good at that. And when I realized that, I was okay in my mind that yes, I won't lose my relationship to attract more money. So when you are now setting your money frequency or manifesting it, is it something in your mind that you're going to lose subconsciously? Is it something that you rather not lose? That's why you're subconsciously stopping yourself. Like sometimes it happens with people, like when they want to manifest a relationship, but deep down they love being single and they love being free. So like, yeah, I would love to have a partner, but then this will happen and that will happen. So do you have a competing belief? Always checking in with yourself. Do you have a belief which is not serving that frequency, which is saying it's going to take long? Who says it's going to take long? I have to do this for that. Really? According to who? I have to try that. I have to be really smart at this. According to who? So there is no like requirement to manifest money other than you just decide that I'm worthy and I'm going for it. I'm going for it. And you decide that when your desire surpasses this money drama and you're like, yes, I'm going for it. And how does that happen? That happens the more you operate on that frequency. A point comes when you fuse with it and you become one with it. And you're like, yes, I cannot imagine it not happening. So the point when you fuse with it is the point when you cannot imagine it not happening because it's such a strong memory that you have lived there. It's the part of who you are. Like sometimes when I look at my life and the decisions that I made and the choices that I made and the things that I did, like there's nothing logical, but it just made sense. It just connected the dots. But if there was somebody who was using fully their head and logic, they wouldn't have done those things. They would have said, you're crazy. How could you still do that when this happened? How could you still jump all in when this happened? Because I'm not working with my head. I'm following my intuition. And that the key in all of this is make your desire so strong by constantly living there as much as you can that you start to think to yourself, am I crazy? I feel like I'm crazy, but all makes sense. I can see it happening. Like Wright brothers, when they were inventing the aeroplane and the aeroplane fell, and the other brother said to the brother that, brother, keep going. I can see it flying. I can see it. It's flying. They could see it. When you can see it, when there's a part of you can see it, people think you're crazy. We're like, how on earth you're still going for it? Because you can see it. So are you seeing it enough? That's the question. Is everything in your life reflecting that to you? And if not, give it the meaning. I do this so much now, and I love this exercise where just keep using things to activate that feeling. Let it be a song. Like there is a song that I play. It is for the house that I'm manifesting right now. And if you play that song, I can spend my whole day in that house, like listening to that song. Like the moment that song plays, like I'm living there. I see that, and it's so powerful. But all I've done is I played that song and I imagine that. I played that song and I imagine that, and now my mind takes me there automatically. So reprogram yourself so much that even you can't stop yourself. That's how much you have to reprogram yourself. And that, I promise you, even you won't be able to stop yourself. Not even you.